pretty clear that I'm not the running type myself. But what drives you to run, and what do you enjoy most about it?
I think it's the goal chasing aspect, and I love it because you're getting out what you're putting in. There's a lot of sports where I feel like people are just naturally talented, and the hardest worker isn't always rewarded as being the most, skillful person or putting up the most points or whatever. But running, the hardest workers are the best. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And I love that.
And not to get off topic or anything, but you had a pretty good track season last year, from what I read. Looks like you were smelling a state title in the 3200.
I don't know. I could smell it, but it wasn't close. I saw them. There were two guys that went out, and they were pretty much gone from the start. But, I ran almost the entire race third. Me and John Easton from Lebanon ended up battling it out in the last lap. But yeah, I was up there. It was a really good day.
Awesome, yeah, and that's part of the goal orientation that you were talking about, just seeing the goal that you want, and it seems like you're making some pretty good strides on that too.
So Ben, your coach actually sent us some bio information for both of you all. He actually wrote a pretty good thing about everybody on the team and talked about how on the back of a lot of cross country shirts you see our sport is your team's punishment. Can you elaborate on that?
I don't really see as going out and running every day as a punishment, but I think it says something about how tough cross country athletes are, that like the average kid isn't willing to go out there and do that. They just won't. They can't handle it. So I think it really says something about what cross country kids have in them.
How much control is there as far as like for you whenever you come to Buffalo Wild Wings? How do you keep from eating 48 wings?
To be honest with you, I'm not worried about how much I eat. I eat to craving. I just eat. It's more about deciding what you're eating. You want to stay away from disgusting stuff, stuff that's really bad for you. It's more about just making sure you're getting the right things in your body. It's not so much about how much, because you're going to burn the calories. It's not that big a deal. It's just making sure you're getting everything in for your body to churn out that kind of energy and get those workouts in that you need to.
And we asked Abby this. What do you think about when you run? What is going through your mind?
It depends, I guess. Depending on what workout it is, maybe I'm worried about hitting a certain pace, or I'm not going too hard on an easy day. I think during races, I'm worried about where the next hill is, who's in front of me, how close are they, and maybe how's he feeling? What does his face look like? Can I go get him? Stuff like that.
When does that moment come where you're like, oh, I've got to go? Do you hit a certain moment in the race where you're like, you finish strong? Or
it depends on the course. If it's somewhere I'm familiar, I have almost a dead spot to the step where I want to be, like somewhere like Sugar Hollow. Like I know exactly where I'm ready to go. But other places, it's just kind of like I'm kind of gauging how I feel and how the guys around me are looking. So, if I see someone else struggling, it's like, oh, maybe it's time to go. Or if I'm not feeling that great, maybe I'll just wait on it.
So this is a little bit of an outlandish question, but what is the strangest thing you ever seen on a cross-country meet or during a run? Okay,
so I guess there's two things I'm thinking about. Neither of these things I actually saw, like I wasn't there in person, but one of the things that's gone viral a couple of times lately is there are these kids, like there'll be something like a log or something you have to jump over in a cross-country race, and the kid will like jump over the log and do a flip or something and just land and in stride just continue the race. Stuff like that is nuts. And then last year, another thing that went viral was there was this guy that was in a Division III college cross-country meet, and like in the middle of the race, a deer came out of nowhere and just trucked him. And I don't know, I think even crazier than that is he got up and finished. Like, it hit him in the middle of the race. He had a couple miles to go, and he got up and kept going.
That is, and who said cross-country is not a contact sport?
Exactly.
You must have been running fast.
Had to. I feel like there's a lot of obstacles on a cross-country course that shouldn't be there, like trees, rocks.
Or nature, evidently, live animals as well. So evidently it didn't slow him down, though. So luckily you haven't been run over by a deer yet.
No.
Okay.
Haven't had any issues with that yet.
I've seen hopefully you can make it.
Seen a couple, haven't been hit by them.
Yeah, so hopefully they stay off the trail. So the 24 hours before a race are critical, as we were talking about there with the food and everything. But what do you do to prepare within a day before a race?
So I think the most important thing during the 24 hours leading up to the race is not necessarily doing all these things to get better or improve. It's not screwing up. So there's not some magic pill or some magic thing you can do the night before that's going to make you run so much faster. What you're trying to do is avoid the things that are going to cause catastrophe. Don't go out and eat Mexican food. Don't go out and eat a ton. Don't do something that's going to make you feel terrible. Do something familiar.
So try to keep it light the day before a race. Drink a lot of water.
Don't do anything you've never done before. Don't try anything new.
So stick to the script.
Yeah.
Back to basics. Yeah, absolutely. So which season has been your favorite? Now we talked about Abby, and she said it was a sophomore year. What seasons really stood out for you, and for what reason?
Okay, so like Abby said, we had a great sophomore year. It was it's the only year so far that we've taken a boys team and a girls team to state. So that was really special. That's a bond. That team is going to share. We're going to have that the rest of our lives. So that was really special. That was a good year. And also track season my junior year I really enjoyed. I felt like I had a really good connection with Coach Iskra. We got some really good workouts in, had a great philosophy, and I really saw those investments paying off. It turned out well in the end, so it was awesome.
So when it comes to cross-country and track, of course, there are several differences, but how does cross-country help you? Or which one helps better? Does cross-country help track, or does track help cross-country?
Those things go hand in hand, but I guess I would say cross feeding into track probably more beneficial, because a big piece of your track training is just building up an aerobic base, just running a ton of miles.
Endurance.
And cross-country does that. If you're going to go out and run cross-country, you're going to get that base. So then you can build on that base and get turnover doing speed work, to run quick on a track.
So, Ben, thank you for joining us. We'll hit you with one more question here. What's your favorite moment so far at Virginia High, either cross-country, track, anything you want to go with, your favorite moment at Virginia High in athletics?
I don't know.
We'll give you a second.
All right, I'll have to. I don't know. I guess just day in and day out, the culture of Virginia High, it really is a family. And, when I'm, 50, 60, 70 years old, I'm still going to be able to say I'm a Bearcat, and that's something awesome. I'll say that's my favorite part about it, I guess.
It's going to be a fun week as well with homecoming coming up. So
yeah, it's a big deal.
Hopefully we'll see you down there in the stands as the Warriors of Chilhowie will roll into Gene Malcolm tomorrow. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys.
Great. Yeah.
I really enjoyed myself. Thanks.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun, and both of our guests from the cross-country team were great. And now it's time to move on to football, and we're going to go and preview the next game against Chilhowie, the homecoming game, right after the break, and then we'll have Coach Christ on, and then the quarterback, Jamie Lathrop. We'll be right back.
Alvin and the Chipmunks want to remind you to keep bacteria in food from making you ill with 4 simple steps.
This will be a walk in the park.
Clean. Wash hands and surfaces often.
I'm waiting for the rinse cycle.
Separate. Keep raw meats away from ready-to-eat foods.
Yep.
Cook. Make sure meat, poultry, and seafood is cooked to the right temperature.
Fire in the hole!
And chill. Refrigerate food promptly.
Bingo!
Check your steps at foodsafety.gov. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council. The road trip to food safety starts at foodsafety.gov.
You're listening to the best high school football in the Tri-Cities on the Bearcat Sports Radio Network. Bearcat Radio is brought to you by State Line Motors. Visit State Line Motors on Euclid Avenue in Bristol.
Hi, I'm Matt Kenseth. You don't have to be a race car driver to know that life can be full of drama. Some of it you can't control, like mechanical issues, high winds, and rain delays. But there's some drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
You just need to take that first step and find free classes near you, and leave the drama for the racetrack.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
Thanks for listening to tonight's game on Bearcat Radio. Remember that after the final whistle, all games are available for replay at Spreaker.com/Bearcat Radio.
Welcome back to Bearcat Sports Chat as we get set for the football preview part of our show. We're going to recap last week's win against Wise Central, or 2 weeks ago, the last game. 31-14, Virginia High was able to come away with a win. Jamie Lathrop delivered with his arm and his leg as Virginia High walloped Wise Central 2 weeks ago. Wise Central dominated the time of possession. The Cats were able to score at will, though, on quick drives. They led going into half 17-7, and that was 17 points on just 16 plays on offense. So impressive there to get that many points on so few offensive plays. Wise was able to go on a long drive in the third quarter and cut the lead back to 17-14 before Austin Davidson would take the momentum right back with an 82-yard kick return to really just change the game from there, and it made it 24-14. Of course, Virginia High would tack on another score later in the ball game, but that kick return really changed it right when Wise Central had it back to a 3-possession ball game. Defense played well. Couldn't seem to get off the field on third down. It seemed like Wise Central was staying on schedule all night long, had third down and short, and they were converting a couple of fourth downs. But when it came to fourth down stops, they were able to force several. That first drive of the ball game, Wise Central got all the way down inside the red zone. We were able to stop them inside the red zone there on fourth down and inches, really, and get the turnover on downs before the big touchdown run from Jamie Lathrop, who, of course, is going to be on the show later this afternoon. And for another game, really, penalties, 10 penalties last week, 2 weeks ago, 105 yards total. So the Tennessee High in this game, almost 200 yards in penalties.
Yeah, that's really starting to become a bad issue for us. We talked about how it wasn't a big issue, how the discipline was great for the offense. But here the last couple of weeks, it's starting to slip a little bit. We got to start getting that back to make up some easy yards for us on our side.
Some of the stats from the last game: Jamie Lathrop, 87 rushing yards, a rushing TD, went 7 for 9 passing, 139 yards, passing touchdown, no interceptions. Lane Carroll made a 30-yard field goal and a touchdown catch to seal the game. Team stats: 326 total yards for the Bearcats. They scored first for the 4th straight game of the season. 23 rushes for 187 yards, and they threw for 139 altogether. So, of course, Jamie Lathrop providing all the air support for this offense. So, all in all, a good win. Matthew Dean, good quarterback pressure coming up the middle and getting a sack late in the ball game out of that linebacker spot. Michael Howard, Alex Adkins, both rushing for touchdowns in the ball game. Of course, Lathrop's big run through the air that won him the WJHL Play of the Week last week. And then Austin Davidson, that kickoff return. But, Mark, let's ask a few questions for you. The offense was super efficient. 31 points, 32 plays in the whole ball game. Wise Central had 54 plays, to put that into perspective. How were the Bearcats able to do it?
And, you talked about Wise Central having the 54 plays. The time of possession, if you look at it, was really against us in that favor, but it was just because of the effectiveness of the offense, the big play ability that we had. Whenever you have a quarterback breaking off 75-yard runs, the offense gets a little bit easier on our side. But I think the running back still stepped up again. Jamie hit some really big passes, set up Lane Carroll with that bomb down the left sideline for us, for him to kick his field goal. Great all-around performance by the offense. And, I don't think you can ask for much more than that. You're averaging almost a point a play. So
yeah, and keep it on track with that 30 points a game total, as that's a pretty good place to be when you're only allowing 15 points per game, as the Bearcats are so far this year. And it seemed almost identical, as you were talking about, to that John Battle game 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, counting going back to that one, week 2 of the season. What position group were you most impressed with from that game against Wise in Norton?
Probably, I know it's not really a group of people, but Jamie stepped up again. He always seems to. Able to, like I said, made some big plays whenever he needed to. I actually called the touchdown run. I don't know if anybody's listened to the broadcast, but I called the touchdown run. I said, big play here. I just feel it. And Jamie's ability just to be able to read the defense is something of another world to me. Able to find the receivers where they need to be. Just a great athlete for us this year.
You better hope Jamie brags on you that much.
There's no way he does.
We'll see if I don't know. He'll have to come up with some stuff. What are your biggest takeaways? Give us an offensive takeaway and a defensive takeaway from last week.
The offensive takeaway is the effectiveness. Even the running backs